Welcome to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. Super excited to be here on this beautiful Monday morning, and welcome to the second hour of the show because it is exactly 7:18 a.m. right here in England. All right. I'm super excited to be here on this beautiful Monday morning, and I know that things haven't necessarily been or haven't necessarily looked all that amazing. It hasn't necessarily looked all happy and positive these past few months, obviously because of the pandemic, right? But the truth is, a lot of us have managed to make the best that we can out of the ongoing pandemic, out of everything that we've had to go through. And I think that's the beauty of humanity. We always try and find the positives. We try and find the ways in which the world is working out for us, the ways in which the world is showing us rather that things will eventually get better right? So that's how we humans are, right? And even here on Relax Radio, we're always here to show you the positivity, because we want to make sure that you're always aware about all the good things that are happening in the world. Because come on, there are so many good things happening in the world, right? So it would be a shame if we don't talk about it. It would be a shame if we don't discuss all of it and try to, share each other's thoughts and opinions with everyone who is listening in as well. Okay. So don't forget to go ahead and text me. You can text me or call me on 078 Share your thoughts with me, share your opinions with me, because obviously I would love to hear whatever it is that you are saying with regard to, all the things that we're talking about as well. Okay, so don't forget to do that, because, like I said, I would obviously love to hear everything that you have to say. Now, don't forget to go follow us on our socials. You can go like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And make sure that you're always informed, or you're always updated about the very latest that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact, all over the entire world as well. All right, so don't forget to do that. Now, before we head back into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can, in fact, be a part of the show. All you need to do is just text me on 078 Let me know your thoughts, let me know your ideas, and we will have an absolutely amazing conversation. All right. However, I want to very quickly talk about what we're going to be talking about right now, which is basically about flash floods, forest fires, and everything that you need to know with regard to climate change. All right. Obviously, the reason I want to have this conversation is because recently in the news, I've been seeing so many flash floods, I've been seeing so many forest fires, and more often than not, these forest fires are not actually caused. I mean, look, every time you see a forest fire, you think of America and you think of how people have gender reveal parties and accidentally ends up setting a whole forest on fire. Like, how is that possible? What did you do that you actually ended up in making a forest catch fire, right? And that's the general idea with regard to a forest fire. However, the truth is, forest fires don't really exist because of that. Or the reason that forest fires spread so fast is because of climate change. Because it's so warm, because forests have dried out. That's why these fires spread so fast as well, right? Because forests have been, they've dried out. There's such little plant and animal populations in comparison to the huge amounts of plant and animal populations that were actually there in the forest, some time back, when global warming and climate change wasn't as bad as it is right now. All right. So let's talk about how exactly climate change has affected our planet, and what exactly, or rather, what are we seeing right now? What are the changes that we're seeing right now? So, glaciers have shrunk. There's ice, the ice that was there on rivers and lakes have also been melting, and plant and animal ranges have actually shifted, and trees are flowering sooner. So the first thing that came into my mind when I read, the fact that trees are flowering sooner, are the cherry blossoms that you see in Japan, right? Like, literally, that is what Japan is famous for. But whereas cherry blossoms are very, or rather cherry blossoms, if I may put it that way, are in fact very sensitive to the environment around them, and they normally bloom, if I'm not mistaken, they normally bloom towards the beginning of April. However, right now, or this year rather, it bloomed towards the end of April, right? And the reason is because they're so sensitive to temperature, and because the climate has risen, or rather the global temperature has risen these flowers actually blossomed much later. So that is an impact, right? Now effects that the scientists have predicted in the past would also that would result from climate change are in fact now occurring, because we've seen how there is a loss of sea ice. We've seen accelerated sea level rise and longer and more intense heat waves, right? And I'm not talking about just here, I'm talking about the entire world in general, right? Because scientists right now, they have a lot of confidence that the global temperatures will continue to rise for the decades to come, right? So it's very important for us to, stop. It's very important for us rather to actually keep in mind the huge amount of change, the huge amount of impacts that climate change is bringing about. All right. Now, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which includes about, or rather more than 1,300 scientists, actually forecast that a temperature rise of 2.5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit over the next century. All right. So make sure you take those necessary steps, because right now we're going to head into a small break. And after that, we will be back to keep talking more about this. But until then, make sure you stay tuned. All right. Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. You're tuned into the sunrise, and I'm super excited to be here because I'm here to keep you company all the way until 9 a.m. All right. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you are updated. Make sure you stay tuned to the show, because obviously I would love to share my thoughts and my ideas, not just with you, but with everyone who is listening in as well. So if you want to share it with your friends, if you want to share it with your family, if you want to share it with people who are generally just interested in talking about literally anything and everything, then you can show them, or you can send them our way, right? Because Relax Radio is literally there for us to talk, or for you to tell us what you love to hear, and for us to talk about it. Like, that's where Relax Radio is there. All right. So don't forget to do that, right? Don't forget to text us, call us, let us know what you're thinking, because I would absolutely love to hear whatever it is that you're thinking. All right. Now you can actually text me or call me on 078 share your thoughts with me, share your opinions with me, because obviously I would love to hear whatever it is that you have to say. All right. And before we actually head back into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact go follow us on our socials, right? You can go like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and actually go subscribe to us on YouTube as well, and make sure that you're always informed and updated about the very latest that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the entire world as well. And while I was talking, obviously, I was holding my hand really tight like that, and I just remembered how my sister and I, we were actually, we were playing with each other yesterday. And I was trying to hit her, but not obviously in a terrible way, but in a playful way, because we were playfully punching each other, and I went and knocked my hand really hard on the cupboard, and it's a bit swollen and it really hurts. So I just remembered that, because I pressed my hand really hard and it hurt, and I was like, oh, all right, this happened. I really shouldn't be pressing my hand really hard like that. But that is what happened to me during the weekend. However, you can share your thoughts with me, share whatever happened to you during the weekend as well. All right, now let's actually head back into the conversation, because obviously I have a lot more left to talk about with you. Because, we're talking about climate change. We're talking about how so much of change has taken place within the past few, months, past few years, actually, because of the way in which we have treated our planet. All right. So, like I said, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is also called the IPCC, has said that in the next century you will actually see the temperature rising from 2.5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit in the next in the next century. Honestly, we know that there are a lot of other problems. We know there's a global pandemic. We know that the NHS currently has a lot of help, waiting lines and waiting lists and whatnot. But something else we need to keep in mind is that if we don't take the necessary steps that we need to take, if UK doesn't meet its net zero carbon emissions goal when it should, then what that actually means for our planet or for our country, forget about the planet, let's just talk about our country, is that we're literally not going to survive on this planet. And you know what, it's actually easy for me to come up here and tell you, look, it's very easy for me to do some research about it and tell you, okay, this is what's happening, this is what you should do. But the truth is, we have to start making that change. You and I, we need to start making that change and telling not just ourselves, but our friends and our family who might do things that are very harmful to the environment. Sometimes it can be like burning, or sometimes it can be just polluting the environment, or using or rather eating a lot of meat, or using your private vehicles to travel. Whatever it is, if we actually can encourage our friends and family to use public transport, to maybe eat vegetables, to reuse clothes, not to buy clothes, then what that actually means is that we can actually play at least a little bit of a role in saving the planet. All right, so that's what I actually wanted to tell you and make you aware, because it's important for you to understand that if we don't make that change, if you don't make that change, what's going to happen is that things are going to get much, much worse. Right now, let's actually talk about how exactly we're seeing the effects of climate change. Now, ice is in fact melting worldwide, especially at the poles of the earth, right? And this even includes mountain glaciers, which are basically ice sheets that cover West Antarctica and Greenland and even the Arctic Sea ice, right? Now, in Montana's Glacier National Park, the number of glaciers has actually declined to fewer than 30 from more than 150 in 1910. Okay, so back in 1910, there were actually 150 glaciers. Now there's even less than 30. So that's alarming, because that means we're going to have rising sea levels. So, and it's not just me, obviously. I've seen, you and I, we've both seen so many documentaries, so many movies on how the environment is being destroyed, right? And rising temperatures are in fact affecting wildlife and their habitats, and vanishing ice has actually challenged species such as the Adelie penguin in Antarctica, where some population on the western peninsula has actually collapsed by about 90% or more, right? Which means that in addition to glaciers melting, in addition to all of that, there's also plant species and animal species that are at risk, right? And the reason I'm telling this is because for us to coexist, for us to survive as a planet, we need all of these other species to survive as well. Because otherwise, how are we going to get oxygen if all the trees die? You know, and what are we going to survive on, what are we going to eat? So those are questions that you should really ask yourself and think about before you do things that are really, really disastrous for this planet. Okay, and those are just the impacts of what exactly is happening. Now make sure you stay tuned, because we will be back in a few minutes after this break to keep talking about why we need to change now and why we're running out of time. So until then, make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to keep talking more about this. So obviously, make sure you stay tuned.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or